So I just want to start by saying that my pronouns are he, him, she. Okay.
Gotcha.
I have no issue with anyone referring to me as a girl, because I think that I've taken control over the word or anything that was negative, attached a negative attachment to it. It's just not me. I love it. You call me what you want. If I'm girl, I'm sis. I'm that. That's who I am. There is no changing it. Auntie, call me auntie. Look, I'm your auntie. If you need me to be your auntie, young ones, I will be your auntie. It's not a problem. Uncle too. I don't care.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Queerly Blax Show. I'm your host, Ashley, and I'm so happy you came by. The Queerly Blax Show aims to normalize the everyday existence of Black, LGBTQIA plus individuals through an interview-style series with regular folks like you and me. So every week, a new guest shares their story and unique perspective on their existence as an LGBTQIA plus individual. Thank you for tuning in, and make sure you subscribe, download, set your reminders to the podcast so you never miss an episode. Enjoy the show. Welcome back to another episode of the Queerly Blax Show. I'm your host, Ashley. I'm here with a very, very special guest. Got my guy Stevie here. Stevie's got his own podcast. Stevie's got, a whole bunch of stuff going on his channel, but I'm going to let Stevie tell y'all about Stevie. Tell people who you are, Stevie.
Hey, everybody. It's Stevie Derrick. I am 1/4 of him podcast. I'm also the creator of Indi Artist Spotlight. I'm also the creator of Dear Y'all, the advice segment that's out here in the streets trying to give the girls the things that they need. I'm from Long Island, New York, born and raised in New York. Just been living, doing things, and trying to make the community be known for better things. Let's say that. That's the type of journey that I'm on. Yeah, 100%, for sure.
For sure. He's from New York. I'm from Jersey. So, tri-state, tri-state. So we're going to jump right in. I ask every single guest, when was your first encounter with your sexuality? So this isn't not necessarily about letting people in or coming out. Yeah. This is just, when did you first know, like, hey man, something's going on here?
Yeah. So I want to say this in full transparency. I want to say the age of 5. The age of 5, I was kissing boys at the age of 5. I just knew exactly what it was. I knew exactly what I was experiencing. I just knew that's who I was. I wasn't attracted to any little girls. Although, growing up, I was, trying to hide and get things out of the way just to protect myself. But at the age of 5 was the year that I knew that it was like, yeah, these boys are cute. I want to kiss boys. I think this is what I'm going to grow into. I'm going to get a husband and stuff like that. And I know people say, like, at 5, how could you think that? But look, these kids are really advanced these days. And I feel like I was, at that time, one of those advanced kids just knowing exactly who I was. Yeah. And there was no way to hide it either, even though I tried really, really hard.
Right. Yeah, nah. Yeah. So did you, once you kind of discovered that, what did the rest of your school years look like? Were you out, were you just living into that, or did you have girlfriends? What was that for you? Elementary, middle, high school?
Yeah, elementary school, no girlfriends. I was just quietly crushing on boys. There was no one to express that to. I would write in journals talking about boys, talking about, I think this boy is cute, and doing a little hearts in the book, and oh, we're gonna get married. These are all these, the fantasies that I put in my mind just because I was attracted to guys. I just knew that this is exactly what I wanted, who I was gonna end up with. Now through middle school and high school, that's when things got a little tough. And it was like, if I come out as who I am, there's a lot of factors that I have to remember that people are not ready for. And that I probably have to defend myself, because growing up, there were a lot of queer bashings and people getting beat up. And granted, I am one with my hands, so I know how to handle my business.
I know, that's right.
New York and Jersey. New York and Jersey, you already know what's up. You already know. So
Will Smith wouldn't have slapped me. Will Smith wouldn't have slapped me.
and live to tell the story. I'm just saying. It was just a lot of protection that I was worried about. So I did date a few girls in middle school. I did date a few girls in high school. And then in high school, it was just like, I cannot stay in this box anymore. I have to come out of this box. This is not what I need to be. This is not what I'm comfortable with. I'm already dealing with guys, I guess, on the low. And it's just like, I can't live like this. And my spirit is stuck in a space that it doesn't need to be in, because if I stay here, I'm never going to grow, you know what I'm saying, or flourish or mature. So after 11th grade is when I came out. 11th grade was the year. The story is pretty much this. There was a lot of blockage in schools of MySpace. Now, MySpace was hot.
Yeah.
Hottest thing.
Oh, yeah.
Facebook and MySpace was that
If you
place.
could get that coding, you knew how to, you know what I'm saying? You could have that hot background, you know, the custom song. Oh yeah. Top 8 had people mad at you because they wasn't in yours. Like, what's going on?
Bring
I thought
that
we was
back.
cool.
Yeah.
Man, crazy.
Bring it back. So there was a blockage in school, and at one point it was something about the servers that had went down and unlocked the blockage. So I said, you know what? I went into the school library. I sat there and I said, you know what? It's time for you to live in your authentic truth. It is time for that to be who you are. You are who you are. You have a lot of your peers that are coming out. My best friend had just came out, and they were like, well, since y'all are best friends, we already know what your tea is or what you're gonna give. So what's the hold up? So the blockage came off.
You was gay by
you're like,
association.
y'all are already okay. We were already like skipping around school, and it was already giving what it gave, but it was just like we haven't spoken up about
Right.
it. We haven't just like, hey, this is what it is. So the blockage came off. And I went right to my page. I changed my background to everything rainbow. I changed my display name to Too Many in the Closet. I had to come out, and I put Diana Ross's "I'm Coming Out" as my song.
Oh, you had granted, the whole thing going.
I was not. I was tired. Okay, I was tired of living in the shadow of the set on set closet. I was tired. It was getting suffocating. It was time for me to come out. So I did that. And again, I was very popular in high school. You know, just for being the class clown, also being very dramatic and just having everyone laughing and just being that person. So everyone had me as a friend on Facebook. I mean, on MySpace, excuse me. And they had me on there. And once I posted that, it was just like, as soon as I came out of the library, I swear to God, it was like a swarm of people like, oh my God, we were waiting. Like, we already knew, which I hate when people say that, like, we already knew. I'm just like, well, what did you know?
Right.
We already knew. We were waiting for you. We were so excited for you to be into your truth, you know. And I was already in a gay group in school. Like, they had like a safe space for queers, and it was just like I was already in there, and they had already heard mumbles and chatter and stuff like that. So it was just like, once I let that out, everyone just came my way and was just like, yo, we're so happy for you being who you are. And from that day forward, the rest is history.
Yeah. What about your parents? What about your parents? How was the conversation with your parents?
So the conversation with my mom wasn't the best. Me and my mom are really, really close. But when it came to me coming out, me and her had like, you know, a power struggle, I will say. One of my family members was really, really pinning the Bible on me and telling me that being gay was not the way and I want to go to hell. And luckily, throughout the years, our relationship has gotten better with that certain family member. But when the time was set, I was angry at her for asking me to do such a thing to cover who I am. And it wasn't fair to me. So after that,
what was that rooted in for her? Was it just like, is she a church and all that kind of stuff?
So my great grandmother was an evangelist. God bless her.
Okay.
She was an evangelist, but her beliefs weren't that. And I think when people get into church, they are, I want to say, influenced by the wrong people. Because everyone knows that the Bible doesn't say the things that people are saying about homosexuals. It's not there. And people have already brought that out to be the truth. So I think that certain family member was stuck in the olden times, olden sayings, or, you know, scriptures of what they thought it was supposed to be. So that's what she tried to put on me. And it was a lot. It was very, very suffocating. It was for me to be like angry all the time. I think I was lashing out on certain friends due to what I was living with and had in my family. And my mom came to me and asked me, and I think we had already been having like some type of disagreement. And she came to me and was just like, "Are you gay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I am." And you know, like just like blasted, like just going off on her. And that's not what I wanted because our relationship is tighter than that. My outburst should have been towards a certain family member, but just so happened that she ended up being in the line of fire, shall I say. You know what I mean? So we had that discussion. It was really, really heartbreaking. I believe I went to my best friend's house and like cried for a while. Like, I'm just like, I did not want that to be the situation that I had with my mom. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't want that to be because our relationship was so tight. Like, it was just like, why did I do that to her? But as years went on, she's so comfortable with it. She supports me in everything that I do. I think I want to say that my queerness kind of made our relationship a little bit stronger, just because I think one thing in her mind was that she wanted her child to be exactly who he was, with no filter, no closet in place, him just living as his authentic self. That's all she wanted. So that from that situation, our bond has become so much tighter. I wouldn't change our relationship for the world. I think that with her support and me being who I am is what keeps me going. So yeah.
Yeah. For sure. So you're very free with your expression in terms of like, clothes and, just kind of define gender lines and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Do you remember like the first time you wore like heels or a pocketbook or like even like the sunglasses you have on? Like, do you remember those? Don't hide. You right here.
No, I'm not. I'm currently looking for my Telfar bag.
Oh, for your Telfar bag.
I'm currently looking for my Telfar bag. So I believe the first time I've never worn heels. Always wanted to. I think I want to do like a heel class or something like that. Cause listen, the girls come out in their heels and they are inspiration to me. Mm-hmm. So I'm just like, listen, if y'all could do it, I want to do it. Mm-hmm. They're a huge inspiration. I haven't had the opportunity to do that. I played in wigs a few times just for like Halloween and stuff like that. I love a little lace. I think they're really, really dope. As far as when I like started wearing pocketbooks or like a purse or like a little satchel or whatever, I want to say it was probably like 21 or like around 20 when I was like able to step into adulthood. Yeah. I think those are the years. I mean, in the club scene in New York was just like, you have no choice but to fit the description. And you have no choice but to pretty much follow the lead.
You got to step out. If you stepping out, you got to step out.
You have to step out fully. There's no half stepping. There's no half stepping when it comes to living in New York and being in the club scene. So a lot of that inspiration came into me and had me do what I needed to do. I felt comfortable wearing a little bag on my side. I felt comfortable wearing the tightest shirt or the tightest jeans. And if I felt like wearing a Chelsea boot that was an inch higher than normal, I was able to feel that. And I had a lot to give to the gay scene in New York. They are a huge inspiration. I think a lot of people pull from the gay scene in New York when it comes to fashion 100%. And just being themselves and living in their truth. That was the timing for me. Once I started hitting the clubs, it was just like, yeah, this weekend I'm gonna go buy a purse, and it's time for me to put the purse on.
Right. Do you think that living in a big city, because like, I grew up in Jersey, which I mean Jersey's big enough, but it's obviously not New York, right? But if like people sometimes, if you don't live on the East Coast, you don't understand how close they are, like Philly, Jersey, and New York. So right there, but I know like it seemed, for me at least, a little bit easier to kind of express yourself younger when you have so many fashion influences or like different types of people look different and stuff like that. Because I remember even going to New York to go shopping, but I was on the side of like wearing jerseys and sneakers, and New York always had all the latest stuff. You go to Jimmy Jazz in Harlem, like it's so easy just to grab what you need. Do you feel like it was a lot easier for you to transition into like, okay, these are the things that I feel comfortable expressing myself with because you lived in such a diverse area?
Yeah, I definitely did. Here's the thing. Again, when you step into New York, you have no choice to be influenced because it's everywhere. And even when you feel like you're in spaces that you're uncomfortable, there's one person that's going to be like, you know what? There it is. This is what I need. This is it. This is where the heart is. This is exactly what influenced me to be exactly who I am, because this person is walking in their confidence. This person is just like, I don't give a damn who feels a way about this on the train or feels this way. They're walking in their truth. And that is the most important part. And the diversity in New York, you have no choice but to be influenced by it. It's there. It's not going anywhere. It's not, I want to say it was a point in time where people wanted to like silence it out. There is no silencing it out. You cannot quiet it because there's always one more confident than the other. There might be a quiet, queer boy sitting on the train and like, oh, I don't want my queerness to be seen because maybe somebody will do something. And then once the next stop of the train stops, there is somebody walking on that train like, hey, everybody, it's me.
Platform heels, just ready to roll.
Little skirt, little wig, a little face bead is giving very much of the things that New York gives. So yeah, we are a little privileged here. And I do feel very, very sorry for all of the kids that live in spaces that they can't be themselves, because I had the privilege of being in a state where gay is here, and we're not being quiet and we're not silencing. We're doing parades, we're doing marches, we're doing all of these things to make it so that they know what's up.
Yeah. How do you ever deal with people like referring to you as a girl or like referring to you with more feminine pronouns? And do you find that offensive? Because I think, you obviously you're a man, right? But you like, feminine inspired things. And how do you balance that, like in terms of being a man, but then also, you know, like I know, like for me, I always say, like I get referred to as a guy all the time. Like it happens all the time. And naturally people just see me. I'm tall. I'm like 5'10", and I'm, you know, I'm not a small girl at
Same
all.
height. Yeah,
I
come on.
got my hat, you know, I wear my fitties, my sweatshirts, whatever. So it doesn't offend me when it happens. And usually people, once they load my profile, they're like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, you know, and I'm like, it is what it is. How do you manage those types of, and there are people who are like, I'm a woman, don't mess it up, you know, but you know, for me, I'm just not that, it's not that serious for me personally, but like, how do you manage that?
So I just want to start by saying that my pronouns are he, him, she. Okay.
Gotcha.
I have no issue with anyone referring to me as a girl, because I think that I've taken control over the word or anything that was negative, you know, attached, a negative attachment to it. It's just not me. I love it. You call me what you want. If I'm girl, I'm sis, I'm that. That's who I am. There is no changing it. Auntie, call me auntie. Look, I'm your auntie. If you need me to be your auntie, young ones, I will be your auntie. It's not a problem. Uncle too. I don't care. Right. There's no problem in that with me. You can call me she. I've actually put it on all of my social media. It's he, him, she. It's her. It's me. It's who I am. It's what I'm living in, and it doesn't offend me at all. And it never will. It never will offend me because it's just like, I know what I identify as, and I'm comfortable. You know what I'm saying? There's people who aren't comfortable. There are people who are not comfortable at all at living in that. But me personally, I'm good.
Yeah, it's just, you know, it is. And I think that's good to hear, because I think it's a balance, right? I know, I feel like there's this huge narrative around, like, you know, queer people that like, oh, you know, queer people are sensitive. And I think we are sensitive to offensive things. Like, yes, 100%. But I think that within the community, there's a large diversity of people who are not offended by everything, right? And there are some people who are like, don't call me he, don't call me she, call me they, or call me, you know, call me he, make sure you get it right. And then there's some of us, you and I, who are like, you know, we would focus on, you know, something else, right? We would just put the energy into something else. And I think you need it all, just like you need Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. You need people who are like standing on the pronouns, and you need people who are like, okay, y'all stand on the pronouns, we're gonna go stand on something else over here, right? So I think you need it all. So that's good to hear that, you know, you I you know, I identify with that as a woman. I identify with what you're saying.
Come on.
What made you become an influencer? Like, what was that for you in terms of, well, for one, and I also want to hear about, like, you know, your interest in music and stuff like that, but what was that initial step for you into becoming an influencer?
So I got a big mouth. Let's just start by saying that. And I have a personality that kind of controls. You know what I mean? Everyone knows that I'm in the room. And I felt like in myself, the words that I used, and activity that's going on around in the world, I wanted to be the voice that was on more set of the positive. Anything that's negative can be turned into a positive. 100%. I just want to say that really quickly. Anything that's negative can be turned into a positive. So with that, I took it upon myself to, I first wanted to start a YouTube channel. The most difficult thing in the world. I don't know who's listening, but YouTube is very difficult. Okay. I took it upon myself to self-start my own YouTube and just talk about things that were going on, kind of like pop culture and stuff like that. And that didn't work as the way I wanted it to work. I felt like I had more of a personal level, not too much of celebrity gossip and things that were going on. I had more of a, let me influence you on being a better person, okay? Because I'm also working on being a better person. So it was not just a journey for me. It wasn't just a journey for me to tell people. It also was a journey for myself. So it was just like I was helping me by helping others. Yeah. And I just took it upon myself to start creating like little things on social media and like voicing my opinion and making sure people know that they can have a great day. And it just happened over time. I think when I first started Twitter in 2009, it was a little different. It was me starting the YouTube, and I was just like, yeah, let me be a little messy. And I was like, wait a minute, messy is really not my thing. So let me bring it back to what's missing on social media. It was missing that influence, that queer influence. That was missing. And I took it upon myself to be the queer influencer. There are a lot of people out here doing it, but I want to respectfully say that no one's doing it like me.
You better let them know.
Yeah, they're not doing it like me.
That's right. That's the confidence.
No way.
It's that confidence. You gotta have it. You gotta have it. So on the Him podcast.
Yes.
How'd you guys get
Yeah.
started? And what are some of the things that you guys talk about?
Whew. Okay, so this has been such a long journey. First of all, I want to shout out my the members of the podcast, Malik, Laquan, and Aaron, and the members who have departed, Trey and Aaron. So the podcast started with Malik. Malik is the creator of Him Podcast. He had reached out to me, Trey, and Aaron, who were formerly a part of the podcast, and asked us about being a part of a podcast. Malik was a part of a podcast that didn't work out, and he wanted to create his own. So me just being the social media person that I am, he said, "You have a personality for this. I want you to be a part of my podcast." And I tell this story all the time. I said, I turned Malik down when he asked me. I said, absolutely not. I don't think that I have that type of, that panel discussion type of personality. I don't know if I'm quite ready for that. I'm going to turn it down. So I sat with myself and I was just like, you know what? There is someone who's going to take whatever I say about whatever topic we talk about and be inspired from it. Or buy it. You know what I mean? And I was just like, there's someone out there just like Stevie. There's a little Stevie out there.
Yep,
or there's a Stevie who hasn't really started feeling himself or feeling he or herself, whatever pronoun you identify with. They weren't feeling it yet. Yeah. And I would be the voice for that. So I sat and I thought and I said to Malik, you know what? Let's do it. We started in 2000. Oh my God, these years are going so fast. I want to say we started in 2018. Or 2019, around that time is when we first started the podcast. We got together, we had like a little meeting about what we were going to talk about. And the things that we talk about now or have been talking about for years are homophobia in the barbershop, one of the topics we talked about, mental health. We could not escape sex. Everyone wants to know about sex. We talked about family life, growing up. We talked about pop culture in certain topics. We were just really, really authentic in letting our stories or whatever, how we felt about topics come out. And Malik, that's exactly what he wanted for the podcast. Now, granted, you can't see that in the beginning. You really can't see someone's vision in the beginning until you're in it.
Yeah.
That's when the vision really starts to play out and become something really, really, really powerful. So he took it upon himself to have us in there. We've recorded over 156 episodes. We've been going for almost four years. It's been so amazing. One of the really, really powerful things, because there was a point in time, I'll be honest, that I wanted to leave the podcast because I just didn't feel like I was fitting. I just feel like my personality was a lot for some people to handle, and I think about that all the time. But as a mature adult, I've learned to let go of that. But in those certain spaces, a certain conversation we were having, I was just like, I don't know if I fit in here. So there was an email that came from a listener, and he said, I believe it was our mental health episode. He was in the midst of committing suicide. He was right there, and he was listening to our podcast. In that podcast, the episode, whatever we spoke about in that mental health episode, because Lord, it was a long time ago. I have to go back and revisit. But something on the conversation stopped him from committing suicide. He wrote us an email and told us, "Thank you guys for saving my life." I said, from this day forward, every time it's time to record, I'm pulling up to that mic.
Yes.
I don't care what we're talking about.
Seriously.
I'm coming to work. Yeah. Coming to do the work.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah.
That's awesome. I think that's so amazing. And shout out to y'all for that, because I know it's sometimes you take it for granted that like you're so out, you know, like I think we take it for granted sometimes that it's truly a privilege. You know, people are really locked up in you know in prison to their sexuality, you know, something that's so
easy for us.
Easy for us. It's, you know, but everybody has their own struggle, right? And just using your voice, and that's awesome, man. And I mean, that was a part of the reason why, you know, we started this show, was just sharing stories. You know, for us, it's just about, I just want people to see themselves in somebody. I'm not everybody. I'm me. There's a bunch of girls that identify with me, but there's a lot of people in the world, and I'm like, there's so many people. Like, you can relate to somebody, you know, if you can find yourself in somebody, that could be the thing that helps free somebody, you know. So I think it's incredible. I mean, like even Niecy Nash, and I got an episode coming up, and the guest talks about how Niecy Nash was a huge influencer for her, you know, in terms of her story. And like, obviously she was married before and just popped out like, hey, up. And it took the whole world by storm, right? But I mean, all those stories are important because somebody identifies with all of that, you know. So that's awesome. Keep doing what y'all doing.
Thank you.
You talk, I forget where, I forget how long ago it was, but you talk about therapy, and the importance of therapy. What's been your journey with therapy?
Therapy. I say this in the beginning of every podcast episode. Every time Malik does a little check-in with us, I say therapy is changing my life. And I want to say self-proclaimed, but a lot of people are telling me that since I'm doing my mental health threads, I am now a mental health advocate. And another crown is placed on my head. Yeah, it's been an amazing journey. It's been very, very important for me to get on this journey, just because it was a lot of things that I was trying to battle on my own, especially with family and just living in a space that I've been living in for a long time. I've been at home for 30 years. I've been here, and it's been me solving a lot of home problems. I currently have a mom who's not well, so I have been like a caretaker to her. I also have a sister who has 2 children. I have a dad. I just a lot of things that have fallen on my back that I've had to take on. And I had been ignoring the fact that I needed therapy, but I also was influencing people to get it. So I was kind of living in a hypocritical life. I was just like, yeah, go get therapy. Every time we spoke about it on the podcast, I was like, yeah, therapy's the way to go. Woo, therapy. And I was sitting at home like, so when are you going to start going? When are you going to start unlocking that? When are you going to start making the steps of not just telling people what to do and doing it yourself? So I believe it was November. I don't remember the date. I would have to look it up. But November 19th was the day that I started therapy. Don't fact check me, people. But I started in November of last year. And I just went to my first session, and I feel like when you go to therapy, you just start just start falling out like I got this going on, and the therapist pretty much had to like humble me, like, listen, let's start with one thing at a time. Let's start with what really brought you to therapy. And I just told her like, yeah, I just need to fix my life. I'm about to be 31 next year, and I'm just like, I need to better my life and start finding out ways to solve problems better than I've already been solving them. So I think, because a lot of problems you think that you have solved, and the way that you go about them might be a little damaging, a little traumatic to other people. So you got to fix your house before you step into someone else's house. There it is. Yeah. So therapy's just been an amazing journey, and I openly advocate for everyone, if you can get the opportunity to get it. I know therapy is expensive, but there are some new resources out here in these streets. If you girls do the research, you can get therapy for free, because I am.
Yeah, no, you absolutely can. I am. I advocate for therapy. I go to therapy. I love my therapist. He's a gay man with 2 kids, and he is very much honest with me, and we talk about everything, you know. Come on. And I know even for me, my journey with therapy started because I'm an only child. And I'm not an only child. I'm not the only child. Oh, the oldest. I'm sorry.
Oldest. Okay.
And you know, when you're the oldest, no. Not only oldest. I have 2 younger sisters.
Got you.
And you know, there's a lot that you take on as an older sibling, as the oldest, and it started with that, and creating boundaries and releasing myself of responsibilities that some placed on me, some were placed on me, having a teen mom. And you know, releasing some of that, and then, you know, we started going into just, you know, the work of, you know, yourself, and, you know, becoming better. And to your point, you uncover things that you thought you were good with, and you're like, control. You know, they start asking you real simple questions like, were you able to express yourself as a child? And you're like,
do you see the problem in, right? Do you see the problems in the things that you do? Did you see the problem? Do you see how you were wrong in that?
You see how you were wrong? No. You're so convinced about how they did that, but what about you? You know, and so it's like the exercise for your mind, right? Like exercise for your mental, getting those tools. And a lot of times, you know, you just get information, like you get a lot of tools to deal with things as they come up in your life. So I definitely advocate for that. So keep that going, because people definitely need to know that, you know, it's not taboo. It's not, you know, this like something's wrong with me if I go. Like, it's just really about getting the tools to be better, right? To live the life that you want to tap into your higher self. Let's put it like that.
Come on, give them.
It's awesome.
Give them the tools.
Yeah, for sure.
Love that.
Advocates for therapy, for sure.
Yeah. Come on.
We were talking a little earlier, and or before we get into that, you also have the Indie Artist Spotlight. So are you an artist, and how, if you are, you know, what kind of music, and then how did you get started with the Spotlight?
Okay, so this is probably one of the emotional segments because I love this segment so much. It's like near and dear to my heart. So I am a singer-songwriter. I do sing and I do songwrite. I just put out well, I collaborated with my dear friend Antoine. His name is Sad Boy. Him and Warren Dumas. We have collaborated on a song called Truths on his project. So that was like my real introduction. But I've been writing music since I was a kid. I've also been in poetry. My great grandmother really, really wanted me to push me to be a poet, and I was just like, no, I want to be something else. I don't know if that poetry is my lane. Great grandma Nana, I love you, but I don't think that that's my lane. But I would write a few things down and just jot them down and sing songs and take lyrics from other music and like create my own harmonies and stuff like that. And it was just like, yeah, music is a little hard. I ended up trying to go to college for music. Didn't really work out because they want you to play an entire piano piece to graduate. And I was just like, listen, I got the voice. I don't really know about that piano. This is not Alicia Keys. I don't want to play the piano. So I had to leave that alone. But as far as the segment, it was, I have to give a shout out to Eerie Music. They're a queer group that we had on the podcast, and they had a project that came out called Niggas in Brooklyn.
All right,
and
now.
they were looking for someone to interview them for a segment that they had. I guess they were putting on the project, and like give them like, you know, Q&A questions and just interview them in that. And I was the one they reached out to right after they did the podcast episode. They DM'd me like, hey, we think you'll be great for it. And another moment of me being against myself. I was like, I don't know if I'm ready for that. I don't know, you know, you doubt yourself. So I was just like, yeah, I don't know if I'm ready for that. And another bell clicked off. Like, what are you saying? You're on a podcast. You interview people all the time. What is that? So I ended up telling them yes. I went over and I interviewed them, and I came back home and I said, you know what? I've always wanted to be like a red carpet correspondent. I always wanted to interview celebrities. I always wanted to do something. Why don't I go to where I am in the queer community?
Create the table.
Make the table, build the table. Okay. They set the table till you put it together.
There you go.
What are you doing? So I took it upon myself to create Indie Artist Spotlight. I reached out to a few artists. I just put out like a whole little PR thing like, hey, I'm looking for indie artists to support and promote. I've created this business. I think that it'll be really, really great. I already have the following. I have that. I have the people following me. So I think that this would be great for artists to come and join and me promote them, and I guess be like their PR team or their promotional team and work with us and create different avenues for you guys, for their music to be heard. So I took it upon myself, created a playlist, started interviewing. I've interviewed over 30 artists already. Some are in the works because they have to finish their projects. And it was just, and now since I've done that and created this, I have gotten so much amazing feedback. Like, so many artists are reaching back to me and like, yo, you made my music go here, or you've had me interact and start. And then some of the artists were actually working together. Like Sad Boy and Warren Dumont didn't even know each other. I brought them together and they started making projects. Then I ended up being on the project, writing with them. And
so they're discovering people through your spotlight. That's awesome. Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah. Definitely my baby project. I am so proud of the things that I've done with it, and so proud of the artists that are flourishing from it, and also just staying, you know, moving, shaking, doing the things that they do. I look back at them and the interviews that we've done. I'm just like, yo, where you were then, because some of the interviews were years back, and now they're like flourishing and doing showcases and all that. I'm just like, wow, this is amazing. Yeah, definitely an amazing project. Yeah,
that's awesome, man, for sure, man. But keep doing that work, and you know,
thank you.
I so appreciate it personally.
Thank
and
you.
As somebody who's, you know, come into this space very recently, you know, it's been amazing, very welcoming. It just, people show so much love, so I appreciate you.
Yeah.
If you had a theme song for your life, what would it be?
Ooh. If I had a theme song for my life, oh, this might be a little cringy. Well, not cringy, because, you know, she is who she is, and she is a part of the community. I would say the theme song of my life would probably be "That's So Raven." I think that would be the theme song of my life, because I feel like certain times of my life, I have been Raven Baxter, and I have been going through things that have just like, what the hell is going on? Like, you know, like just she's very, very quirky, very kooky, and just like expressive. And I think that's what I identify with. So everything that she kind of showed on the show, or the way the theme song just goes, I think that I identify with that. And yeah,
That's
shout out to
awesome.
her, because she's like, you know, amazing. Yeah.
Love Raven. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, we have reached the end.
Yeah.
And I asked everybody one piece of advice you would give to somebody going through their own journey.
Whew. This is as simple as I can say it. Never be afraid to be yourself. You're gonna be in spaces where you feel uncomfortable. It's gonna come to a point where you have to break that wall down. It's going to. And if you don't force yourself through it now, you never will. So be who you are, stand in your truth, and just be the person that you are. Unapologetically, and as I say, always authentic.
Always authentic.
Keep it that way. Always authentic. Yes.
That's amazing. Tell the people where they can find you.
Ooh, you guys can find me on all social media at Stevie Derrick _. Currently working on getting that underscore taken, because I think Stevie Derrick is more professional, but that's in the works. Stevie Derrick on all social media. I'm on everything. Just type in Stevie Derrick. I promise I will be the only one that pops up.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate you. Good luck with everything.
Absolutely.
My prayers are with you and your
congratulations
family.
on the show.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Appreciate you. This is another episode of the Queerly Blax Show. I'm your host, Ashley. I'll catch y'all on the next one.